This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 228. This week, Brad and I found a magical talisman that gives us amazing powers when we watch an episode of the series Chuck Chicken.
The wise old master had hidden it well. All they found was a scroll, which said that one day a signal would appear in the sky to show where the egg was hidden, and that whoever found it would inherit all the old master's powers.
Why are you telling us this story?
Because the signal is in the sky. The magic egg is in the volcano, and you're going to get it.
Fire on!
The day just keeps getting better. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That is, of course, this show. Wanted to thank you for joining us once again this week to chat all about cartoons. My name's Jake Williams, but I can't host the show alone, and I don't. I brought along my good buddy Brad Chmielewski to talk cartoons. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. If you're watching the video version, I got kind of a fat face.
Too much Halloween candy?
Yeah, all I do is play Chubby Bunny now around my house and just eat marshmallows as much as I can. No, this past week I had my wisdom teeth taken out, so like it's coming down. If we were to record this a few days ago, people would have been like, "Man, Jake ate a lot since last week's episode." So it's kind of I can only open my mouth so wide, which is kind of funny. So hopefully I can get through this show and talk articulately about our show this week, Chuck Chicken.
Chuck Chicken.
Yeah, how's your week been, man?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I watched all of Harmon Quest season 1. I'm almost done with season 2.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you finally went back to it.
Yeah, I found some links on YouTube, and then my free trial for the week ends this week on whatever that new site is. So I'm gonna make sure I cancel that. Finish that.
Is it over on VRV now? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did I think that was like an anime site?
I think they have anime or Crunchyroll as part of it.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I'm thinking that. Well, I haven't started season 2 yet, but now you're catching up. What do you think of season 1?
It's the same. I don't. It's good, but it's the same. Like if you watch one episode,
yeah,
you've seen them all.
Yeah, in a way, you kind of know the formula. I think what helps is if it's a celebrity you like, the guest.
Yeah,
like that helps make an episode better because you want to see what sort of like weird stuff they come up with. And 2 is if the situation they're in a given, like, because it's basically them playing Dungeons and Dragons. But if it's like, oh, this week they're just in a port town trying to find an item from a local blacksmith or something, that's not as cool as like they're in a dungeon and there's 3 dragons and how do you get through? Like that kind of stuff's fun.
Right. Yeah.
I think if I recall correctly, one of my favorite episodes of season 1 was the one with John Hodgman where he has like lots of sandwiches made of people or something, made of
of half-orc people, mostly.
Yeah. So just stupid stuff like that's fun, but I'm glad to hear that season 2 at least continues the tradition of what that show was, which is, I don't know, there's lots of those like role-playing type shows out there where people basically play D&D live, but I think the animation adds quite a bit to it.
Yeah.
Like I almost don't even notice in Harmony Quest when they cut back to regular people because I'm so focused on the animation and like the cartoon when they actually bring it out.
Yeah, I think they try to stay in cartoon as much as they can, unless the animator's like, F that, man, I'm not animating that scene.
Yeah. There are some good call-outs, if I remember correctly, where like they cut to something and show like, hey, this is how we would have to show this in animation, basically. Mm-hmm. But that stuff I think is more interesting than people pantomiming it at a desk, you know?
Right.
So anyway, but we're not talking about Harmon Quest this week, although you definitely should check it out because we had a lot of fun with that episode, and our good buddy Ethan was on that show, so that was a fun one. But this week's show is called Chuck Chicken. I don't think I have to go out on a limb here and say that Brad and I had never heard of this show before.
No, not at all.
So I was doing my weekly browsing of, hey, what cartoons should we watch? And sometimes I just do it by service. Like this week, I was like, I've been watching a bunch of stuff on Netflix recently, like catching up on documentaries I liked from a few years ago. And I wonder what Cartoon Network's cartoon offering looks like. And boy, have we exhausted quite a bit of it. If it's not like a DreamWorks tie-in or a Lego something or a kids like a kids show for babies.
Babies.
So
Baby show.
But I saw the artwork and the cover art for this show called Chuck Chicken and thought, hey, we should check this out. And I got to say, been very little information out there about Chuck Chicken. You guys can check out the show notes to see what I was able to actually grab from various sources. But it seems like Chuck Chicken is... So on Netflix, it says it's from 2017. But it seems like it's actually older than that because it was produced in Malaysia. It was Malaysia's Animasia studio that actually produced the show. Mm-hmm. And then in 2015 in the Southeast Asia region, it was licensed to the Disney Channel. So that's where it started getting a little bit more popularity. Funding for the show for Chuck Chicken was actually provided by the Malaysian government. So it sounds like they got some sort of grant to create this show. And actually, there is a theatrical movie scheduled for release in 2018. So it's going to have its own movie.
Well, it's basically Kung Fu Panda with a chicken.
Yeah, that's what a lot of reviews I was reading about were like kind of referencing it too, which is funny because I don't really remember a whole lot about the Kung Fu Panda movies because I think I only saw one of them.
Or it's Kung Fu Panda meets the Jackie Chan show where they have missions.
The cartoon we watched?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jackie Chan Adventures, pretty much.
Right.
There's one season of 52 11-minute episodes total. It's all on Netflix, so if you guys do have a subscription, you can check out any and all of it, basically. Also, this is the first time I learned that there were reviews on Netflix that you can look at.
Yeah, I remember writing reviews for stuff in Netflix back in the day.
Really?
But our we don't trust reviews anymore as a culture. We don't. Whenever all this internet stuff, Amazon and Netflix, people have like read the reviews and accepted that everyone in the world knows better, and then I think most of the stuff is now either bots or advertising or people just joking about this, and the reviews are very we don't trust them as much, I think, as a society.
Plus, we're in a time where review bombs are a very serious thing, especially for the gaming industry, where if, say, a creator of a popular indie game makes a decision that a bunch of people feel is wrong, they'll just use their flood of fans or fandom of this game or property or whatever and go just give a bunch of negative reviews so they don't show up in search results, and then they get worse store placement and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of messed up. So I think we've gone back to just taking reviews from our friends, basically. If our friends like stuff and our family like stuff, maybe we should check it out.
Yeah, the game people need to really stop being such dicks about everything. But
that's a whole other argument. Yeah, that's our other podcast. We'll start next week, I think. And so Chuck Chicken, I can't tell quite if it was licensed to Disney Channel in 2015. I mean, I can't tell if the show is earlier than that, like 2014 or something. But Netflix does that weird thing, right, where sometimes episodes are out of order or like the dates are wrong.
Yeah.
So I think for our show, we're going to say 2017, at least in our credits, at least for some of the clips we'll use today. Okay. But if someone knows, email us, toontalkweekly@gmail.com, because there's almost nothing out there about Chuck Chicken. It's kind of incredible. The show actually took 18 months and 100 Malaysian artists to complete, so it actually took quite a while. That gives you a little bit better idea of how long it takes to make something like this. And this is a show whose art style I would also put in the vein of like popular Flash stuff. That's what it reminded me of.
Just a little bit, but it has that Disney polish to it too.
True, yeah. Like when you think of, I feel like we could probably go on this like long discussion about like how you could tell what network a show's on based on the thickness of its character lines. If it's really thin, it's Adult Swim.
That'd be a good like BuzzFeed question quiz. Or
I was gonna say that, or a really stupid and empty top 10 list we could make. Like,
Yeah.
Top 10 lines in cartoons, something like that. So let's talk about the story of Chuck Chicken. What can you expect from an episode of the series? And actually, this is going to a little bit spoil our episode discussion today, but then it kind of goes on longer, right? So Chuck Chicken, it takes place on an island called Rocky Perch. It's a land filled with chaos and mayhem and birds, actually lots of birds. Basically, every character is some sort of variation of a bird, more or less. There are a few others here and there. The series follows Chuck Chicken, the main character, and his two friends, Flick and Wing, who run the Golden Egg Securities company, the #1 security agency on Rocky Perch. They provide Kung Fu style security, so there's your Kung Fu Panda sort of reference, as they travel across the island, and Chuck actually inherits a special talisman that bestows himself amazing powers. Basically, anyone who has this talisman, he can transform into any number of things. What things, you might ask? I actually went and looked up what they all were, because this is about the information I could find on the show was like characters and powers. It was like people making gaming type wikis, basically. And we see a handful of these in the first episode that we'll talk about today, but some of the powers are Smoky Skunk, Rhino Punch, Spinning Mole, Rubber Snake, Armadillo Shield, Sonic Bat, Spider Feet, Invisible Chameleon, Minuscule Rat, Leaping Toadfish, Eagle Eyes, and Speeding Cheetah. So he's got like 10, 12 powers. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So our main characters, main heroes, their first and last names are just, I don't know. Okay. Chuck is actually Chuck a Doodle Doo. Sure. Flick Feathers and Wingspan are the main three characters.
Okay.
And the three villains we'll talk about today are this like trio of, I don't exactly know how to describe what these guys are. These just sort of like green dudes. I guess they're birds, but they're just like ugly looking birds. But these guys' names are D, Don, and Dex. D is sort of like the boss of those three. I'm a little sad that we didn't, in the first episode, actually get to see the main villain of the series, who appears to be, at least according to the key art and stuff, is Dr. Mingo. That guy seems pretty awesome. He's like a mad scientist guy.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So what we're going to talk about this week is Season 1, Episode 1, entitled The Magic Egg. This sort of chronicles the tale of Chuck and his friends going on this quest and figuring out where he gets these powers. It's the origin story of Chuck Chicken, if you needed one.
Okay.
Why I picked this one, by the way, is that I wanted to jump into just any episode, but I felt like the fact that they took the time to make the episode that's like, hey, this is where he got the powers, maybe it's worth seeing. I don't know. At the end of our discussion, I guess we'll decide if it was worth seeing or not. So we do get... something I liked about this right off the bat. First of all, it's pretty cool theme song, but it's very like rock and roll in your face stuff. There's a neat Chuck Chicken logo with like the actual like top of his feathers over the words, which is fun.
Yeah.
I feel like it's based on some song. I can't tell what it is, but it's just like it's a melody that I've heard before. Chuck Chicken.
So, I was slightly confused. Was the open to this the story about the old man leaving, or was that part of the episode?
I think it's part of the episode.
Okay.
Although the theme song does describe what happens in the show, which is like, he can turn into anything, doo-doo, Chuck Chicken. Like, that's...
okay. I was confused when that part, when we get in the episode here, but that part of the episode with the old man, I was like, oh, okay, well, they're explaining the show for me. Nice.
Yeah, right. Basically. I will say Chuck Chicken here has probably one of the coolest things I've seen, which is I always talk about how much I love title cards. Dude, moving title cards. They had I
think I missed that. Okay.
So it says like the magic egg, the title, and he's like holding up the egg, and everything's just drifting. It's just doing like that kind of parallax type of thing.
Yeah.
And the egg's like all shiny and stuff. That's pretty cool. Way to go. Good job on him. But yeah, what you mentioned, Brad, is that they described, we start the episode where basically they're talking about how long ago there was this like great emperor chicken guy in this world, and everybody was trying to basically get his powers, but he had all these powers, but as he's like getting older and not going to be able to defend himself, he basically lays a golden egg, which we learn is this golden talisman. And it's kind of written in the scriptures that if you possess this egg, you get extraordinary powers. However, they don't necessarily tell you right off the bat what these powers are. And it becomes a thing where over the years, many people try to go on a quest or a pilgrimage to go find this talisman, which basically means going to ransack his like old dojo and like where he lived and stuff. And no one can ever really find it. We learn about the story kind of through the lens of D, Don, and Dex, those 3 villains I mentioned earlier, as they're like, well, we're in the place, so we're going to find it now. But we do cut over to Chuck Chicken and his 2 friends, Flick and Wing, at their security agency. And I think what they get a call from like the mayor saying, hey...
But on their computer, that was like a weird... He's like, hey, Chuck, the mayor's on the computer. Turn it on. I was like, wait, is he like talking like on TV? Like, are they like, oh, the mayor's giving a press conference?
Yeah.
No, the mayor was like calling them on their computer. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the wording of when the mayor started talking, at first it sounded like a public bulletin to lots of people, like all the citizens, but then it turned into like he's actually talking to them.
Yeah.
It was a bit strange. But there's a situation. There's this ancient volcano that's close to erupting. They're not sure why, and they need Chuck and his 2 friends to go, their agency, to go stop it. And they'll pay him $1,000 to do it.
Good morning, all. We have a serious problem.
How can we help you?
The sleeping volcano Big Beak Mountain has suddenly turned active after lying dormant for many years. It will cause harm and serious damage to our city if it erupts. The city council has agreed to pay $1,000 to anyone who can stop it.
$1,000? Are you kidding me? Mr. Mayor, I don't think your problem's serious enough for me to take it seriously.
We accept, Mr. Mayor. Don't worry. No case can defeat us.
Good. I will be waiting for your good news. Bye.
Yeah, this was a funny part because Chuck's like, not doing it for $1,000. Like,
Dude.
That's just like, man, talk about chicken privilege there. $1,000 and practice my kung fu.
I felt like this was all our industry talks about, art and like freelancing and whatever, like running small studios and that kind of stuff, which is like, oh my God, you think my services are worth $1,000? That's ridiculous. Like, it was just kind of funny, like that he just shrugged it off. And I was like, man, some artist was like, I'm going to make him a little headstrong about business. That's what I'm going to do.
But then his partner was like, man, you broke a bunch of stuff that we have to pay for. Like,
Right.
Just let's pick up this little job. It might not pay that much, but we got bills.
Yeah, right, basically.
Which it goes back to every studio freelancer. It's like, I would charge more, but I kind of want a drone, so I'll do this.
Yeah, I'll do it now. It's fine. And so the 3 head off to this volcano. Originally, they're not going to go in, but as one of the guys, I believe it's Wingspan, the little nerd boy guy, breaks out this like wingsuit to show them, but he ends up knocking them into the volcano anyway. So it's like, great, thanks for bringing the technology, dude. We didn't need that at all.
Yeah.
But then we get that they're down in the volcano, and D, Dawn, and Dex are already here, starting to drill. That's actually what's causing all of this destruction in the volcano and making it become active, is that they're drilling to try to find this talisman, basically.
Yeah.
They've been following some map to believe that they're actually down this far. At one point here, I keep messing up the guys' names, but Wingspan, the little boy, drops his like bag of all his gadgets into the lava so he can't get back. But miraculously, this like phoenix spawns to tell him like, pick which one of these. Did you have the white bag or the black bag here, basically? And I guess it's one of the tests.
Silver bag or gold bag.
Oh, silver or gold. And this is one of the tests. I guess you're supposed to say neither. But even when he does, she does retrieve his bag, and it's just disintegrated because it landed in lava, dude. Like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Weird little side scene, but it's really just setting them up for, like, we can't get out of here because we don't have our gear now, and this phoenix can't even help you anymore, basically.
Here you go. Which is your bag? The silver one or the golden one?
Great! We'll take both. Oh,
Hey, didn't you read the book? You'll get nothing if you ask for either of them. We've got to be honest. Dear Fire Phoenix, neither of these is our bag. Ours is a regular old gray backpack.
Oh, do you mean this old and smelly little thing?
Yeah, that's my bag! My bag!
Oops. Well, I'm sorry about that. Let me think. How about I give you this egg as a replacement? Okay, bye then.
But I guess because he answers correctly, they say, well, instead, I got this egg for you. And Chuck is the one who it's bestowed upon, and he also gets the scroll that mentions he gets this sort of special power by possessing this egg, this talisman, right? This is the golden egg that was foretold in all these stories years and years ago by this ancient, emperor guy. One of the coolest transformation animations in cartoons, probably since Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, is probably Chuck Chicken transforming into any one of his many powers. It's pretty awesome.
Pretty long, too.
It's super long.
It's like Power Ranger kind of long.
Yeah.
Or Sailor Moon transformation long. Like classic anime kind of.
Yeah.
Let's switch from regular person to cool person.
I could throw it in the episode. It wouldn't be very interesting for the audio listeners because it's just action noises. But it's pretty awesome looking. You definitely should check it out. He's holding out the egg. He morphs into something. The funny thing is the things he transforms into, it reminds me more of like what you would do in the game Mega Man, which is your suit just changes color. Chuck here just changes color. He doesn't change shape or anything. He just, depending on what color he has a varying different power, basically.
Yeah.
So as he's leaving, he catches the guys who are trying to drill and actually ruin this mountain, tries to stop them. He actually transforms into his rhino power, which appears to be the one he uses the most because it gives him crazy strength. So he can do things like rip the wires or like mess with the drill that they're actually using. At some point, he makes it malfunction so that they fly in and out of this volcano and off into the sunset a la Team Rocket or something like that.
Yeah.
And this ends up being kind of the way that I think that they get out, is that they drilled all these holes in the mountain, but yet the mayor shows up, I think, in the volcano.
No, he was outside.
Oh, they're outside at this point. That's right.
Yeah, because they walked out of one of the holes, and they're like, yep, we stopped that volcano from erupting, but really they didn't stop the volcano from erupting.
Yeah. And he's handed a bill for all the damage he's done for whatever, to this ancient monument or something, this like landmark. And he's like, well, it's going to cost you $10 million. I'm not going to pay you a cent.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. This mission was just a piece of cake. So when do we get our reward? I'm very sorry, Chuck. Due to the destruction of Big Beak Mountain, we will not be paying you a single cent. Hey, that's not fair. I'm not the one who caused all this, Mr. Mayor. In fact, this mountain is still strong and steady. Knock, knock. See? Strong and steady. Uh-oh. Chuck Chicken, you've been found liable for destroying our heritage site, Big Beak Mountain. Here is your bill. What? $10 million bucks?
So it's kind of an interesting origin story of Chuck Chicken here, where he gets this talisman, he absorbs these powers. I think he uses one, maybe two or three in this first episode. I did catch the second episode too, and he didn't use too many of them there either. But and then he just doesn't get paid for his job. It's kind of funny. So
well, then he gets a bill because he wrecked the mountain.
Yeah, so okay, so this was season 1, episode 1 of Chuck Chicken. It's over on Netflix if you guys want to check it out. Brad, what were your thoughts on the show? Because we had never heard of this kind of coming into it.
It was fine. Nothing drew me in about this because, like I said, I feel like I've seen Kung Fu Panda. I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and now he just has sweet powers, so Chuck Chicken's never gonna lose.
Yeah.
And it seemed like I started the second episode, they were on a mission to find a different egg. So they just find these sweet eggs all the time that have powers. Chuck Chicken is the most powerful person now because he has the egg, because the old man was the previous most powerful thing. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's zero conflict that's ever going to happen besides Chuck Chicken just trying to cope with being the badass in the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that as well. Is that I felt like, aside from how fun the character designs were being, that they're all these funky bird shapes and stuff, and that the art's fun, the backgrounds are done more than we saw in Bounty Hamster a couple weeks ago. I felt like there was no friction, nothing pushing him away, no actual hardships for Chuck here. He just was a guy that ran a successful business, and now he has powers, and there's really no. Look, you don't have to have fighting and everything. I know that violence in cartoons can be good or bad, depending on, what position you're in, if you have kids or whatever. But there's almost like no fighting. It's just like Chuck decides, no, I'm going to transform now. I'm going to be this power, and I'm going to use it on these guys who are doing something bad, but I'm not going to fight them.
Right.
There's like, I don't know. There's no, in a story where you would have like a build to some sort of like climactic moment or action moment, and then sort of the drop off of, resolution and things like that at the end of the story. I gotta say, Chuck Chicken has like a tiny little bump, but other than that, it's just like neutral the entire way through.
But maybe that's what you need. Just it's a popcorny kind of cartoon.
Yeah. I'm not gonna read anything from it, but there was one review on Netflix, but I feel like it was the most. Like, somebody was really angry about this show, and I don't know what they were digging into it. So if you want a good laugh, go read it, because I don't know what those people were talking about.
Really? Damn. Okay.
Yeah, I can't see how you can hate this show unless you really think that every single new cartoon needs to be groundbreaking. Spoilers, they make tons of cartoons every year. Not everyone's going to be fresh. Not everyone's going to be new. There are formulas that work, and some of that stuff can be seen here in a show like Chuck Chicken, where we've already commented on a ton of references that kind of it tries to emulate. But I don't think that takes away from kind of the work that was done on it. And I do think that it's got a neat look to it. But is the look enough to carry it? Probably not.
Maybe, but like you said, in a sea of tons of cartoons, like sometimes something like Disney is just like, we need a cartoon, people are going to watch it. Mm-hmm. If you look at stuff like all the stuff on Netflix that are those kids shows, or what's that, Pepe Pig or whatever it's called, like that's not good, but people watch it, kids watch it.
And this is coming from two adults that watch cartoons for a podcast. Like, right, we're going to be a very different skeptic or critic of a show than a child would, right? Or even somebody else our age who might just have different tastes in things. So I think it's interesting. I think if you want to check out a fun little art style, all the characters remind me of stickers. Like, they're perfectly adaptable to stickers because of their hard outlines or something. If you want to check out a show that has that, then go ahead. I don't know that we'll dive into more of this because I kind of feel like I know where the story goes. It's like he just wins every time. But maybe some of the other characters are fun, and that'd be worth checking out. But I think that's going to wrap up our discussion all about Chuck Chicken this week. Let's get out of here. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and then my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great, guys, go check them out over there. You can follow me on Twitter @JacobWilliams, and if you'd like, you can follow Toon Talk Weekly all over the place. We're on Twitter @Toon Talk Weekly, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're over on Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. Our email, toontalkweekly@gmail.com, is the main hub for the show. If you want to head over there and send us a message, let us know about Chuck Chicken, because there's almost nothing out there, and I'd love to know more about where this came from. And also, toontalkweekly.com is the main hub for the show. If you want to watch any of our episodes up to this point, they're over there. Brad just mentioned pre-show. Actually, I think we're up to a year of video shows, roughly, give or take, probably. And so those will be over on our YouTube page. If you head over to any of the posts on toontalkweekly.com, you can head over to our YouTube page, hit that subscribe button, help us get that vanity URL so I don't have to step-by-step lead you through where to go every week. Bonus this week, you get to see my fat face after getting my teeth removed, so that's always a bonus.
Sweet.
I mean, enjoy it now, because this is it. Next week, back to normal, hopefully, unless I eat too much at Thanksgiving, right?
Okay.
So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Toon Talk Weekly, but of course, we'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.